I can't really see your faces, so I hope that everything is working.
Yes, we
fine.
do. Yeah,
Yes,
we
we
do.
can see.
Wonderful. So first, I would like to make a short introduction to the whole training, and then we will continue with the topic of today, which is quality assurance of digital higher education. So the next 2 weeks, we will hopefully work together with the quality assurance topics in digital higher education at the course level. But today, we hope that we will get an overview of more broader framework of quality assurance at the European level. There are a lot of frameworks existing and benchmarks. So to introduce you and have a discussion a little bit about these frameworks that are existing, and some developments also that's happening at the state or institutional level. And of course, as we come from Estonia, the reference point will be here in our educational system, but it will be also good to see developments in Georgia, of course. So we will focus further on the quality criteria at the course level, what constitutes a quality of teaching and learning for the students as well as teachers, and also analyze these quality criteria over next two weeks or so. So we are hoping to get some broader overview of the strengths of digital higher education in Georgia, and also perhaps to indicate some challenges that you have, and also perhaps make some parallel with Estonian developments that we have had that could be useful. So today the plan is here. We try to be flexible if needed, but we start with the welcome and opening remarks that is happening right now. And then we will continue with the more theoretical or more, let's say theoretical framework of quality assurance of digital higher education. Then there will be a short break to stretch legs and have perhaps a coffee or tea, and then start focusing on the course level. And then we will propose the homework for you. We think it will be very useful, but of course it's your choice to see how you want to proceed with this. So well, yes, we introduced ourselves already a bit. This is our team, and we all belong to the working group on quality of digital education at the Estonian Quality Agency for Education. So that is the reason we are talking here today, and that is also the reason why we are participating in the PRODIGE project. But it would be also good to see who you are, or to understand a little bit your experience in digitally enhanced teaching and learning. So it would be nice if you could write to the chat numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, maybe several numbers, depending on the experience you have in digital teaching and learning. Number 1 stands for the long-term experience in digital teaching and learning, if you have had this. Number 2 is about a little bit of experience, but still learning. Number 3 is about limited experience and mostly teach face-to-face experience. And then the 4 and 5 are more like strategic level experience that you might have. If you have contributed to creating or implementing a digital learning strategy, then please write 4, and 5 stands for leadership level experience on supporting digital teaching and learning. So I might not see your, now I do see your answers, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Take your time, yeah. 1 and 4, wonderful, yeah. So a lot of experience you have, and also in the leadership level. It's good to see. Some experience. Yes. Okay. So very good. So we have indication here a little bit that we have some people who have a very profound experience already in digital teaching and learning. Also, what is good that at the strategic level you have the experience. So we can combine and we can relate to that easily. So we hope that in the next session we are going to have a very good discussion as well. Wonderful. So the topic will be quality assurance of digital higher education. So we in Estonia and in the quality agency, we have dealt with that for quite a long time already. But it seems to me that when we talk to the international audiences, the struggles are pretty similar. So we hope that we can share our experience today in all these theoretical frameworks and benchmarks that we have, and perhaps you can relate a little bit with our experience. But I will start telling a little bit about external quality assurance and also make some reference to the OECD study, quite recent, on this experience in the world level, and also perhaps focus a little bit more on the European standards and guidelines in the light of digital higher education. So European standards and guidelines as the center for quality agencies in Europe, we need to comply with that. So this is kind of core of our quality assurance thoughts and ideas. And the second part of my presentation will be about institutional quality assurance. So we hope that we can relate to the EUA study. This EUA stands for the European University Association, who had done some research and also analysis. What is the experience in the world and in Europe in particular about the institutional support that is needed? And all, of course, is in the context of, or in the experience of Estonian case that we can't avoid, obviously. So to start with some key considerations. What we experience and know, and perhaps you who are also experienced in providing digital teaching and learning, the delivery mode alone is not a key factor in quality. So the delivery mode might need a little bit focus in standards or quality criteria, or to pay attention to specific aspects, but itself, it's not really key factor in quality. The digital teaching and learning can be of high quality, and the face-to-face teaching and learning also can be of high quality. And the alternative is, of course, that it's not so well developed and needs strengthening and pay attention to different aspects. So, and it is not really new. We know it has been here already for several decades, so we can easily relate to these challenges. And we can also see that the institutions are central in this regard. Of course, the quality happens, as we like to say, between teacher and learner in the classroom. But the institutions are the ones who are enablers, who provide support, who provide framework, who provide platform for sharing of good practices, for instance. And of course, we can't avoid the context of laws and regulations and frameworks that can support the digital teaching and learning, but also can be a barrier to it. So we see institutions as essential in supporting what is happening in the auditorium, in the web, in teaching and learning. And what is important is to agree. We as the quality agency, of course, we try to find the agreement. What constitutes a quality in higher education and more particularly in digital teaching and learning? What are the focus or aspects that we need to pay more attention when we talk about online education or blended learning? And now we come to the terminology. I know that you have had these discussions already, but just to be on one page today with you, what do we mean about e-learning? We see that this is the digital learning. We see that this is the same as using digital tools in teaching and learnings. And this can happen also in the face-to-face learning. We can use digital tools in teaching and learning. And e-learning can be set up as face-to-face, classroom, blended, flexible, hybrid learning, or it can be set up as online learning. So there are a variety of modes, but we see that the quality of e-learning can still be defined in a very similar way. So it has its specifics when we talk about blended learning or fully online learning, but all in all, the quality standards are very same. I can't see your reactions, but I hope that we will have the discussion a bit later on. So think about your comments, and if you have, we can discuss these a bit later. And as we talk about quality assurance of digital teaching and learning, we also need to be clear about these terms. And there are two terms you probably are familiar with. One is quality assurance, and the other one is quality enhancement that we talk about. And they have their similarities, of course, but also some focus that can be a little bit different. When we talk about quality assurance in higher education, it's usually stress the aspect of accountability, that this is the control of the element in there quite strongly. And the aim is to provide information to the general public, beneficiaries, clients, if we can say so, about the quality of higher education activities. So this is the standard that we need to comply with to assure that the quality is there. And the other aspect here is the process to establish stakeholder confidence, that provision, input, processes, and outcomes fulfills expectations and measures up the threshold minimum requirements. So this is mostly about the accountability. But at the same time, more and more, even in the European level, we talk the quality enhancement. When the minimum requirements are met, then the quality enhancement comes into play. This is about providing advice, recommendations, and support to the higher education institutions, also to give autonomy for the higher education institutions the way they want to develop. So, but these two things are going hand in hand. So we see that there are overlappings, but still the systems in different countries have found the balance, or this is the continuous process to find the balance between these two terms and processes concerning quality assurance. So now it would be nice to know also about your experience in application of different delivery modes in Georgian higher education institutions. If possible, please go to the Slido.com code or scan the QR code here. And just to get a little bit understanding where do we stand And I tried to go to the outcome of the results. Oh, blended learning, combined face-to-face and distance modes, that what we also witness in Estonia, that most of the digital teaching and learning takes place in a blended format. So combining face-to-face teaching in the classroom and also online education. Fully online courses are not really common. Oh, still, you provide fully online courses as well. Okay. So still we see the similar developments in Estonia, that the blended learning is the most common way of providing digital education. And micro-credentials, of course, are becoming more and more popular. Even fully online degree programs. Good. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. This is very useful to see also about your experience. And when we come to the European level, this European Association of Universities has, a couple of years back though, has done a quite extensive analysis of the digital teaching and learning challenges, strengths in the European higher education institutions, and almost 400 universities answered this, the same questions that you did just now. And I think the picture was quite similar, although the sample is much bigger. But the blended learning is very much appreciated and known all around Europe. Also, the short online courses are becoming more and more popular. But the full online degree programs and the virtual student mobility is not that popular yet, but I think it's becoming more and more popular. So this is the overall picture we can easily relate to in Estonia, and it seems also that in Georgia. And what we have seen concerning these external quality assurance mechanisms, that there are a lot of frameworks and benchmarks existing in the world, in the European level. The question is which one to choose when you want to develop the framework in the state level or in the institutional level, which way to go. This is much more difficult decision. Here in this picture, you can see some of the possible frameworks. This very colorful circle you see is the Digicomp Edu at the European level developed system. E-Excellence distance teaching universities have developed their quality excellence framework. And I would like to talk a little bit more here about the OECD study about digital higher education. What are the emerging quality standards, practices, and support? And also about this ENCA working group that I had honored to be involved in, about how can the quality standards of digital teaching and learning relate to the European standards and guidelines in higher education level in general. Just some thoughts for you to provide. And what struck to me at that point when I first heard about this OECD study is that almost half of the countries that were involved in this study, about 40 countries, they had no approach for the quality assurance of digital higher education. So although the survey was made, or the study was made after the COVID pandemic strike us. So there is no approaches for the digital teaching and learning, the quality, how to increase the quality there. In 8 countries, the common standards and guidelines for the quality assurance of digital higher education existed in the framework of regular external quality assurance tools. So there is experience there, and I think from our side, this was the best way to go, but we can discuss this later on. And also there were 12 countries that had specific standards for the quality assurance of digital higher education, whether to cover fully online study programs or whether to provide standards for providers of hybrid study programs. So there are good experiences and good examples existing in all around the world. So not just Europe or America, there are good examples existing. And maybe it's easier for us to relate with the small countries, but here is one example. For instance, the Irish model that provides standards for providers of blended and fully online learning programs. And they, of course, we just here I can provide you some references to read further and to learn further. But what is interesting that they have these standards at the organizational level, that the institution must have the clear vision, explicit strategy, and will develop management plans for providing digital education. So this is the first step. And then the program context comes into play. So also at the program level, there are specific things that has to be taken into account to provide quality education. And this learning experience, which is also very interesting, that the student has to remain in the center of these quality criteria, even in the external quality assurance processes. So this is very nice and very comprehensive model, I would say. Now, when we come to the European standards and guidelines, I'm sure you are familiar with, or most of you are, because this is the basic that we have to take into account when developing the quality assurance systems at the state level. And so we build also the standards for the higher education institutions together with the higher education institutions. So these are the standards that we are assessed against as the quality agencies. So we try to understand how these standards, general standards for teaching and learning at the European level, how they relate, or how can we relate these to the digital teaching and learning. And so the working group produced a report, and I will outline some of the points here that might be interesting for further reading, just to understand what is the specifics about this digital teaching and learning. So if we take the European standards and guidelines, first standard, we try to provide very specific indicators, for instance, for policies for quality assurance, so that come to this implementation level. And for instance, the first thing that must be in place to facilitate the digital teaching and learning is the institution's overall strategy. Whether this is a development plan with action plans, the focus or some topics must be there presented. What is the quality topics that we want to enhance at the institutional level? And also, which is not that obvious, that also the remote learners must be involved in the internal quality assurance system. So their experience counts as well. We have seen sometimes they are left outside the traditional learners circle, so this must be perhaps stressed. Also, ESG standard 2, 1.2 tells us about design and approval of the programs. We provide there 6 indicators that must be taken into account. So we see that the e-learning programs must be aligned with the institutional mission, and the curricular design reflects pedagogical practices and innovation. And what is also important, teaching staff are made aware of the challenges and opportunities of developing e-learning programs. Teaching staff we also see as one of the key elements here. Student-centered learning, the key also in the level of European standards and guidelines, learning, teaching, and assessment. We see that we understand that it must be stressed that the technical infrastructure must be aligned with the teaching methodology. And what is also important, it must ease the teaching and learning process together with the e-assessment methods. So this is the hard part, of course. And we will discuss this a little bit further in the next session as well. And students must be aware about the e-assessment, plagiarism rules, and netiquette rules. So just some points to stress at this moment. Also, student admission, progression, recognition, and certification. This seems to be very important that also the prospective students are informed about the equipment that is needed, the e-learning environment, the digital skills that are needed beforehand. So it is important to provide this information to the students and to make sure that the information is available. Teaching staff must be trained, of course. We see that this is one of the central ideas, but also must be somehow motivated and inspired about these learning technologies, and there must be possibilities to learn from each other. So the ways to learn are also important. And of course, the pedagogical and technological support must be available, because the members of the teaching staff don't need to be very technically proficient, but there must be possibility still to provide quality courses. So we see in Estonia, for instance, that the positions of the educational technologists and educational designers, they are the very valuable part of these support services, who not just help teaching staff, but they also motivate, they train, they inspire, they bring in the new knowledge and experience. So I skip a little bit here. There are all indicators for each of the standard given. So there is a possibility to read the report and of this working group and to see what is important to put work in your institutions, for instance. Yes. And the quality assurance of the digital teaching and learning programs are as important as for the regular programs. It seems to be obvious, but in real life, it's not that all the time. So now I would focus a little bit more on the institutional support to quality enhancement of digital teaching and learning. I would like to give you one reference. This is the analysis from the European University Association that covers more than 20 self-assessment possibilities or frameworks for the institutions to answer the question, what is the level of digital education our institution is provided? So do we know that? It's a couple of years old already, but it seems that it's still very much relevant. So once again, I would like to have your help a little bit to understand the context. I asked the same questions as the European University Association asked. Does your institution have a strategy for the digitalization of learning and teaching? And there are possibilities to answer in the Slido. Yes, as a part of overall institutional strategy. Yes, as a standalone strategy, which would be quite unique, I would say. And no, but there are some attempts at the faculties or department level. And the fourth possibility is just no. So I will try to have the next question here. If you would answer, it would help a lot to understand the context.
Liia, morning. Could you please put the number of Slido in the chat? That would be really very helpful.
Can't you see this the screen?
Oh yes,
right now?
I do.
I can write that. I will write that.
Yeah, thank you, Silja.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay. Sounds very interesting, isn't it? So there are in 45% of the answers, you're telling that your institution have a strategy for the digitalization of learning and teaching. So very, very good. And also faculty and department level, there are strategies or plan. There is a small mistake, but okay. So it's a very good picture we have got here, I would say. And if we go back to the results of UA survey, so you will see that that most of the institutions out of almost 400 said that it's the part of the overall institutional strategy. And I would say this is the case also in Estonia. It's quite unique to have a standalone strategy, but we see that in some of your institutions, it's already happening. So it's very advanced. And on the other hand, when we see that we didn't ask this from you, but if the quality of digitally enhanced learning has somehow been included in the internal quality assurance processes, the big picture is quite different. That almost not half, but 40% of the institutions said that it's still under discussion. I'm wondering what is the picture now after a few years, but still it's just 28% of the institutions that said that yes, the quality of digital teaching and learning are integrated into the regular internal quality assurance processes. So I think you can be proud of the picture that you have in place. Yes, and the next question about the enablers and barriers of digital education, just to relate to this overall picture. What is the top 3 enablers of digitally enhanced learning and teaching at your institution? What you think? Is it the international exchange and cooperation? Is it about equipment and infrastructure? Is it about national initiatives, funding, perhaps? Is it the strategy at institutional level that provides this framework, cooperation, learning from each other, whatever that can mean? Is it about proactive participation of staff and students, professional development and training available for teaching staff or managers? Or maybe it is about the projects with other higher education institutions in the world, or maybe projects with other partners, industry. So what do you think? Take some time to think. All right. Okay, so we have got some picture here already. It's interesting to see that the most important enabler, it's changing. Yeah, good. The answers are quite diverse. Very good. So the most important enabler seems to be projects with other higher education institutions. So this is the motivation, the inspiration, some kind of development trigger that you see. International exchange and cooperation, and also professional development and training, which seems to be most obvious, but still. And funding, support, strategy are not seen as that important. Very, very interesting. Thank you. I hope it is also interesting for you to see. And just to illustrate these outcomes with the European level answers, the summary was that most important player is proactive participation of staff and students, and also professional development and training, and the strategy. So it seems quite obvious. I would say that your answers were much more interesting. I would like to know more, but probably we are going to have this possibility in the future to understand this. And also, if you take, this is the last one for today, if you also give some insights into the barriers that you have in your country or your institution, what you see, what are the barriers for the digitally enhanced teaching and learning developments at the institutional level? Can it be lack of staff resources? Can it be a lack of external funding opportunities? Difficulty to devise a concerted approach for the entire institution? The standards are hard to interpret equally for all the institutions at the one university. Lack of staff motivation, lack of digital infrastructure, lack of support of professional development. Is it the national regulation that have these barriers for the institutions to flourish? Is it lack of support and maintenance services for digital technologies? Or is it external quality assurance that constitutes a barrier for the institutional developments in digital teaching and learning? Just a couple of more moments if you take again. I think Silla and Veronica can discuss or give their answers later on. What do you think? What is the Estonian situation right now? Oh. Lack of staff resources, lack of external. Okay. Very interesting. So obviously these results need more interpretation in the future. Very good to know what are the aspects of national regulation that are seen as barriers. Lack of staff motivation, lack of digital infrastructure. I would say the lack of staff motivation is unique. Also, I think in Estonia it's additional workload which needs to be done and to find this motivation. Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting. So I will show the results of the European level, which is the lack of staff resources, lack of external funding opportunities, and difficulty to interpret or find the approach that is appropriate for the whole institution. Okay, so we can go further from here. So all in all, what this EUA study tells us, and also the OECD study, is there are 4 focus points or 4 focus topics that needs to be paid attention to when we want to develop digital higher education at a course level or program level. The first one is, of course, digital pedagogy. There is some topics that needs to be paid more attention to when the delivery mode is online. Support for teachers, instructors is essential, and also support for students, whether in terms of technical capabilities, technical skills, but also about these pedagogical approaches, etc. So this must be supported by the institutions. And what we see in Estonia is that the best digital education courses come from the institutions where this institutional support for teachers is there. It's on a daily life possible to approach to the educational designer or educational technologists. So it makes sense very much to us. And feedback and performance monitoring. So we need to know how the students are performing, how they are doing, and the learning analytics must be in place and must be used in further development of the courses. So I've got some 12 minutes left from my side before we have a break. So I would like to tell a little bit what we as the quality agency in Estonia, what we have done to facilitate this digital teaching and learning to develop further. Where we started, we thought, especially extensively during the Corona period, what we as the quality agency can do to support higher education institutions in the framework of the quality assurance system in place. We don't have program accreditation in Estonia, so we had to have this institutional accreditation framework to incorporate this digital focus somehow. And we thought we don't need the control that much from the state level. We want to monitor what is happening, and we want to be the platform for sharing good practices. And we wanted to provide benchmarks and indicators to describe some of the good practices, not really fix the requirements or control what has been done. So we wanted to facilitate and perhaps more enhancement-led approach to take in this regard. So we did some thematic analysis. We have the platform to share good practices in digital teaching and learning. My colleagues Silla and Veronica will talk about it a little bit later. And of course, it requires quite a good amount of cooperation between a Ministry of Education and Research, us as agency, universities, teaching staff and students to come together and really discuss what is the quality requirement that we want to comply with. What constitutes this quality in digital teaching and learning? And just to illustrate, our institutional accreditation model since 2018 that we are about to renew right now had 12 standards in the circle you see. Of course, the learning and teaching with 5 standards is in the center of this model, but we also have research and development, quality assurance of these processes, and also third mission of the university, service to society, as a separate standard. So what we did, we formed a working group and we tried to interpret all these standards in terms of digital teaching and learning. So for instance, here are just some examples. We have the standard of strategic management, and the working group came to the agreement that the guidelines need to be supplemented, that the higher education institutions takes into account the opportunities offered by digital technologies. We didn't want to be too prescriptive for the universities. We wanted to them to have freedom to think, but it must be indicated that some vision, some topics must be there available at the level of really top management and strategy level. So it must be there to help to understand the study programs and or the teaching staff level. So it's perhaps more understandable and the level of resources under the standard resources that the digital infrastructure needed to be covered more than it used to be. And we added new guidelines under the standard during this process of updating our standards. Information security rules came into play very strongly. The development and security of digital learning environments must be ensured. So all these aspects that hadn't been there before somehow get more focus. Academic ethics, of course, the plagiarism in the online environment and copyright compliance needed to be more stressed. So what we did, we didn't change the standards itself, as we were in the middle of accreditation cycle. We couldn't change this, but we added really the guidelines as the guidelines for how the standard can be understood in the context of digital education. Very important academic staff, the IT and educational technology support, including training, is available to teaching staff. Very important. The good quality teaching in online environment doesn't happen otherwise. The key players are members of the academic staff. the teaching and digital competencies must be in place. Concerning study program development, the general competencies, including digital competencies, came into discussion very strongly. And also the subject-specific digital competencies were added in the guidelines, which means that the digital competencies for the engineers are a little bit different, or maybe even a lot different than for the philologists, for instance. The applications they use are totally different, so the skills must be paid attention to as well. So we also amended guidelines for the teaching and learning. The support of digital culture, creativity, innovation, self-directed learning must be more in focus. So we went through all the standards that we had. Also student assessment, very important in this regard. How to develop fair assessment methods in the digital environment. Not that easy to answer at all. And last but not least, the learning support systems for students. So it must be available for students, accessible for students, and also the monitoring of their satisfaction with e-learning possibilities must be in place. And my final slide here is the digital education quality label process that we have in place in Estonia for already more than a decade. And this is something really enhancement-led possibility for every member of the academic staff in Estonia who has created a blended or fully online learning course to come to this state process annually. We hold this with the working group to perform a self-evaluation, and then the expert group comes into play and sees how the quality criteria are met. We have this quality criteria agreement made, and then the experts give their advice for each course that comes to with the application. And there is the annual event, takes place every May, where we present the very good results of the courses that have developed, excellent courses that have been developed, and there is possibility for others to learn from. So there is quality labels given, and there is the excellent e-course label also given for the very best courses. So this is something that we see that really much helps the teachers, the educational technologists, and also management of the universities to understand what constitutes the good quality digital education. So this is all from my side.
There are some comments, and maybe you want to read, Liia, then maybe you want to answer.
Yes. Okay. Irma has raised
Thank
hand.
you. Yes, thank you, Liia, a lot. Very interesting indeed. I have been observing how the agency is developing and adjusting all the changes that is coming up in a, sorry?
Can't hear you.
Adjusting all the changes that is coming up. And this is very interesting because when we said, and you said that that was interesting in Georgia, once we finalized when the pandemic was over, still there is the possibility in the paper that There could be some online teaching and learning, but this is about the component, not the fully one. So that is why the ministry and the agencies are involved in the project, so that the changes will occur at the same time. And what was very much interesting is that we also somehow use this external evaluation, external standard somehow to push changes within the programs, within the institutional development. That is why probably this would be very much interesting, how once the changes in the law are there, that would be included in the standards, either for program accreditation or institutional evaluation authorization, you know. But at the same time, you mentioned a very, very nice word that you've been very general there, so that you don't make some kind of very precise standards and give the opportunity to the universities to express themselves and say what they could do and then compare to their decisions as well. I think this would be a very interesting seminar all in all, and thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you, Irma. Yeah, I think it's very important part of the quality agency's work to bring all the different players together. I mean, it's quite hard from the quality agency to reach the member of the academic staff in a way, because we are seeing a little bit, if not a lot, of this controlling function. So to provide the platform for working together in some topic like digital education and teaching gives a really a good opportunity for us to see what's happening in the grassroots level in a way. Yeah, thank you. So if not at this point, I think we have 15 minutes break right now to stretch legs and have coffee or tea. Yeah, wonderful. And then we will continue with Sille and Veronica, who will focus in a very practical way to the quality standards at the course level. So I hope it will be very interesting. I'm sure it will be. So see you in 15 minutes.